Good evening, everyone. This is Camille Casaretti. I'm the president of CEC15. Thank you for joining us for our June 21st, 2022 calendar meeting. I'd like to hand the floor over to our interpreters. We have three languages that we will be interpreting for this evening. If we could start with Arabic, please, and then Spanish and then Mandarin. Are the Arabic interpreters able to unmute?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sagrid Darwish. I will start the Arabic announcement. مساء الخير جميعا. توجد خدمة ترجمة للغة العربية. للاستفادة من الترجمة خدمة الترجمة اليوم برجاء الاتصال على رقم 347 966 4114. رقم الاتصال مرة أخرى 347 966 4114. وبرجاء إدخال رمز حجرة اللغة العربية وهو 963 830 099 والضغط على رمز الشباك مرة تانية 963 830 099 والضغط على رمز الشباك. برجاء وضع أنفسكم على الصامت للاستماع للترجمة. شكرا جزيلا. The Arabic announcement is done. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Max Chen. I start with the Mandarin announcement. 各位今天参与的家长和贵宾我们今天有中文翻译服务电话号码是347-966-4114密码是881-854-933按一个井字号。重述一次当你拨打这个电话347-966-4114的时候一进来这个电话专线，请把你的麦克风关静音不然的话很多嘈杂的声音会造成翻译人员的没办法正确的甚至干扰再讲述一次中文翻译的专线电话为347-966-4114请拨打 ID 密码为881-854-933井字号。Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening. The following message will be said in Spanish. Buenas noches. Yo, Marisela, junto a Sandra, estaremos ofreciendo servicios de interpretación en español. Por favor, marque al número 347-966-4114 y ingrese el número de conferencia 100-274-601 símbolo numeral. Si desea escuchar audio en español, pero desea permanecer en esta sala de conferencia con Zoom para ver la reunión usando su computadora, silencie su computadora y el volumen y marque de su teléfono a la línea de conferencia en español. Nuevamente, la línea de conferencia en español es 347-966-4114. Ingrese el número de conferencia 100-274-601 símbolo numeral. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will hand the floor over to Antonia to do the roll.
Okay, I'm just going to remind everybody first to please sign in the chat. The link, sign the attendance sheet. The link is in the chat. And there's also a reminder for those on the interpretation lines to please mute your phone when you are not speaking. Perhaps the interpreters could one by one remind everybody on the interpretation line to mute their phone when they're not speaking. Could we start with the Arabic interpreter?
You mentioned that we should announce that everybody should be on mute on the phones on the
when they're not speaking. Yes, please.
course. مساء الخير جميعا. برجاء وضع أنفسكم على الصامت على خط التليفون أثناء الاستماع للترجمة للسماح للمترجمين بالقيام بالترجمة بدون الاستماع إلى أي خلفية من الأصوات. شكرا جزيلا. I was done. Thank you.
Thank you. And could the Mandarin interpreter please remind?
Yes，刚刚已经讲过一次，现在主持人再次强调，请各位在中文专线的线上的时候，请务必把你的麦克风关静音因为背景音乐很吵的话，很多其他人甚至没办法听到。你需要发言的时候，你再把你的麦克风给打开。好，谢谢你 ，Thank you.
Thank you. And Spanish, please.
Okay. Les pedimos todos a los participantes que están en línea de interpretación en español, por favor, silencien sus teléfonos si no están hablando en mute. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:43 and call the roll. Camille Cazzaretti.
Present.
Antonia Ferraro, present. Tia Shelstead. I don't believe she's here. Vincent Liu.
Present.
Nana Poku Ajakun.
Present.
Alfred DeAngelis.
Present.
Joseph Alexander.
Present.
Ivan Banda.
Present.
Nancy Randall.
Present.
Vanessa Gonzalez Huoka. I didn't see her. Does anybody see her in the, there's nobody in the waiting room. So Nakia Muhasa Brown.
Present.
And Jared Moser. I don't believe he's here. Okay. Maybe folks will come later. All right. So thank you all for coming to the District 15 Community Education Council meeting tonight. We appreciate your time and we're glad you could join us. For those of you who are new to CEC meetings, there are 32 CECs throughout the city, plus 4 citywide councils. Each CEC represents a community school district and each is made up of 11 volunteer members, 9 of whom are elected by parents in the district. The remaining members are appointed by the Brooklyn Borough President. And we also have 1 high school student member. CEC15 is a state mandated public body responsible for ensuring that public school parents and the public have input in educational decisions that are made at the school district level. Our council reviews education policies and advocates for high quality education that benefit all of our District 15 public, elementary, and middle school students. CEC15 serves 35 elementary and middle schools and 1 high school. CEC members serve in an advisory role on education matters to the district superintendent, the chancellor of the Department of Education, and elected officials. We approve school district zoning lines submitted by the Department of Education. We evaluate our district superintendent. We review the district's educational programs, and we support school leadership teams. We also submit recommendations for the School Construction Authority's annual capital plan. We actively seek input and feedback from the public and encourage you to visit our website, cecd15.org. Take a look at our Facebook page and write to us about any issues you may want to address or learn about. All of our names and contact info are available on our website. And I'll just remind you again to please sign the attendance sheet that is linked in the chat. And I will turn it over to our parliamentarian for the public comment protocol.
Hello, everyone. Effective June 14, Governor Hochul signed Executive Order 11.7, extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State open meeting law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings until the state of emergency for COVID-19 expires on July 14 of this year. As a result of recent amendments to the open meeting law, citywide and community education councils can continue to hold virtual and/or hybrid meetings until July 14th. After that date, councils will no longer be able to hold fully remote meetings, but may choose to hold hybrid meetings provided certain requirements are satisfied. Tonight's meeting is taking place remotely and will include a public comment period so that we may allow for additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on, or for your own privacy, if you prefer, you may use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. Rules of engagement. When you comment, please respect the privacy of others. Please do not include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, you may add comments to the chat or raise your hand to speak. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute for each comment. We will hear as many speakers as time allows. It is possible that not every question will be given time. So the best way to get your question answered is always to write us at the email address that I'll put in our chat. And one last thing for anyone on the translation line, please know that your comments are able to be heard through translation. Just reach out, raise your hand if you're on the video meeting, and someone will translate your question if you need that.
Thank you so much, Joe. So again, welcome everybody. Welcome to our June calendar meeting. I'm Camille Casaretti. I'm the president of CEC15. I want to thank you all for spending your Tuesday evening with us. This is our last CEC meeting of the school year. And I'd like to start out with a review of our mission and vision statements, which can always give some insight into the work that we do. And I think it's important to just have regular reminders of why we're here in this space. So our mission, CEC15 believes that every child is entitled to a high quality education, a safe and healthy school environment, and equal educational opportunities. The mission of CEC15 is to promote and support the educational needs of District 15 public elementary, middle, and high school students. Our vision, CEC15 is dedicated to a meaningful, innovative, and inclusive way of educating children that allows students to thrive in every aspect of their enriched academic, social, and emotional growth. Our collaborative, successful, and high-achieving schools embrace diversity in every form and encourage each of our students to explore their interests in finding and nurturing their many hidden talents. In partnership with our families, our school leaders and educators help our children and young adults to find their voice, build self-confidence, and develop their ability to become independent thinkers and productive, caring people responsible for shaping an equitable society. We believe that every child has an innate capacity to love learning, is filled with possibility, and has the potential for greatness. We are committed to supporting that greatness. We invite all members of our school communities to partner with us in making this vision a reality. So both of those statements are on our website, and I would encourage all of you to check out what else is on our website. So we've accomplished a lot this year. We had an incredible amount of resolutions that we wrote advocating for our students, parents, teachers, and even for our superintendent. We've had success with changing some laws, one that will expand CECs to include a parent of a District 75 student. We have added more student voice to our council, and we'll have 2 student members going forward. Our current student member, Jared, has been a critical and necessary voice in many of our conversations, and as he moves on to college, he will be missed. One of the things that we should be most proud of has been our collective concern, compassion, and success in elevating underrepresented voices. We saw this through the middle school diversity plan, through the sub-district 3 rezoning, and now in Sunset Park. I believe this has been one of our most impactful achievements and something that I expect will continue into future years. We have guests with us tonight from the Sunset Park Participatory Action Research Team that are going to update us on the work that they've been doing with the Office of District Planning. There are so many people to thank for supporting us, too many to mention, but we could not be as strong a council without the guidance and leadership of Superintendent Scott, who has been a collaborative partner in our work. If you would like to be a partner or a part of the work of CEC15, CEC elections are going to be happening this spring. You're probably wondering why I'm talking about it now when we're entering the summer, but it is not too early to start learning about the roles and responsibilities of being on this council. You can check out our website, our social media pages, or continue attending these meetings. All are welcome to participate in this work. You can also learn a lot through video trainings that are offered by the Department of Education. All training videos are available on the Parent U website. So that's the Parent University website. And I'll ask if somebody could drop that in the chat. It's the email, the website address is parentu.schools.nyc. And when you're there, you could also sign up for a NYTSA account. That's the New York City Schools account. And probably many of you have this already, but for those who don't, please do sign up. You can get your access code through your school's parent coordinator, and you can do this through the summer as well through the parent coordinator. It's important to sign up for NYTSA because this is where you would be voting for future CEC members. And that new council term will begin in July of 2023. So we all have one more year left of this term, and we'll continue working throughout the summer. So this next school year is going to bring to fruition our idea for an inclusive pilot school in Sunset Park. So this is very exciting, something that we've been working on for a number of years. This special model will accommodate students on the autism spectrum alongside their neurotypical peers. We don't believe in segregating our children. They all have so much to offer. And this exciting new school has a fantastic leader who has worked really hard to create this inclusive design model, which will allow additional educational opportunities for students in District 15 that didn't exist previously. We're also going to be gaining a third grade gifted and talented class at PS 24 in Sunset Park. I am going to be meeting with Brooklyn North presidents next week and two of the deputy chancellors to discuss equitable admissions for future GNT programs. It's very important that we make sure that these classes represent what's happening in our district, and we want to make sure that everybody is collaborating together. So we are also going to be meeting with Chancellor Banks to discuss support of the school-wide enrichment model in the 15 schools. All of our council members are welcome and encouraged to join this conversation. The Chancellor has also been asking for feedback on increased safety measures in our schools. Some of the items being discussed are armed police officers in the schools, safety agents carrying batons and tasers, and keeping school doors locked at all times. We've had this conversation before. And CEC 15 even wrote a statement about guns in schools. We do not agree with locking up our children, nor do we want guns in our schools. Please do send your feedback on this important issue. There's a big difference between being safe and feeling safe. Collective community engagement around mental health issues would be a good place to start. Healing-centered schools is what we need to see more of in this coming year. Pandemic is still here, and we don't know what to expect as things keep changing and people are unmasking. If you're not wearing a mask for yourself, please consider wearing it for a friend. Many people are suffering from cancer and other ailments that are not visible to the eye. This continued uncertainty can be very frustrating for some and create a lot of fear. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, please reach out to a friend or family member or even a professional who can help support you. We need to stay strong for our families and for one another. We also need to see more free and low-cost after-school programs so that our children can continue to reacquaint themselves with their friends and other children. We are grateful for the changes in the city law recently that are going to allow some to receive free childcare, but undocumented families were left out of this law. Families just cannot continue to be forced to make these impossible financial choices. Most public school parents can't afford to pay upwards of $10,000 a year in childcare costs. So we need to start seeing an expansion of after-school offerings through community-based organizations. And our children really need that time to relearn their social skills in an emotionally safe and supportive environment. So I hope that you all will continue to advocate for this. And I just want to give a shout out to City Council person Shahana Hanif, who's here, and Lincoln Ressler. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll advocate for more money going to our CBOs. We have worked really hard this year changing laws, and although we were advocating for a 1-year extension of mayoral control, we did get a 2-year extension. We also were able to, as I said before, add a District 75 parent to our council along with another student member. These seats will come online in the next council term, July 2023. And we recently voted in our parent member, Thomas Shepard, was reelected. There has been a change in the law recently since he's been elected. And so that single parent member seat will now actually become 5 seats. 1 person from each borough. So there are going to be opportunities for parent volunteers. If you would like to run for the parent member seat, please look out for that application, which will be coming soon. It hasn't been posted yet. We also asked for a task force to analyze systems for a new form of school governance, one that includes parent voice, more local decision-making, more transparency and accountability. So the New York State Commissioner will be overseeing this new body, this task force. Last week, we had the C4E presentation, that's the Contracts for Excellence. You can watch the video of that meeting on our YouTube channel if you missed it. The DOE is seeking public comments, and those will be taken closing July 5th. So please have your voice heard. Many of our schools are suffering from extreme budget cuts. We're going to talk more about that later in the meeting, but it's really important to tell your story and let the chancellor, the mayor, and city council know how these cuts are going to be impacting your school and your child's experience in the classroom. I'm just going to close by saying congratulations to all of our graduates and welcome to our incoming students. We are so proud of all of you and wishing you a wonderful summer. So if any of our council members have anything they'd like to add, this would be the time to do that. Anyone? Anything in
I'm
the
happy to follow
chat?
Shahana or go first, whichever prefer.
Go for
Go
it,
ahead.
Lincoln.
You sure you got more of district of 15 than I do? All right, I'll start and you can fill in. So I'm very fortunate to have Councilmember Hanif as a neighbor and a partner in the council. And, you know, I think it's important to just start by first, thank you, Camille, for your extraordinary advocacy and the entire CEC15 team. You know, the issues that you advocate for and push for and win on are the issues that I deeply believe in. And I am extremely appreciative of the great work that you do and the commitment to integrate our schools and avoid segregation in every way, to invest in expanded after school programs for all of our kids. I had the privilege of joining the PS38 community this morning to celebrate their 5th graders graduation, which was really special. But I really do want to focus a minute on the budget. And, you know, the budget vote is a challenging thing for any council member because you basically get one opportunity to vote yay or nay and on the entire budget. And this was without a doubt a flawed budget. You know, while there is record investment in our public schools from the city, it's $14.5 billion is being funding is going to fund the DOE this year. We are and including lots of great initiatives like Summer Rising and career and technical education and dyslexia screenings and much more that will have consequential benefits for our schools and expansions of 3K and so much more. This budget also cuts from where we can least afford it, and that is our school operating budgets. And you know, through the budget hearings, I spoke out and pushed back on you know, any phase out of the federal stimulus dollars that have been helping to support our schools and secure the resources that we deserve. And I am as committed as ever to helping to fight to restore this funding. And I know that Councilmember Hanif is there with me. We spend hours on the phone strategizing and talking and organizing every day to help make sure that the mayor changes his tune and decides to put resources where they're needed most, which is directly in our schools. And so we have been organizing within the council. I'm certainly engaging parents from across our district. We've got rallies that are tentatively planned for later this week. There's going to be a education committee and oversight hearing to really hold the DOE to account on how they are misspending money at the bloated central office and not investing it where it's needed most in our neighborhood schools. You know, I just want to be as clear as I can that the cuts that have been that are planned for our local schools have to be reversed. And we're going to do everything. I'm going to do everything I can in the council. I know Shahana feels the same way, and many of our colleagues to organize and push to see that happen. And they are indeed immoral cuts because our students have faced extreme adversity over these last 2 years. You know, based on one study, students have suffered from an aggregate loss of 22 weeks of learning. Now is a time when we need to be doubling down on investing in our schools and expanding investments in smaller class sizes and art teachers and guidance counselors in exactly the things that our young people need. And the cuts that have been proposed have the exact opposite effect. And so we have been meeting with the chancellor and his team on this. I'm in active communication. We're in active communication with City Hall on this. We are going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until we get results. And I just want to thank CEC15 for your advocacy and the clarion call that you all have made on this. I think for whatever reason, this issue didn't get as much attention as it should have through the budget process, but I know that you all have been activating and organizing and mobilizing parents from across the district. And we really appreciate your leadership. I certainly do. And, you know, while the budget that was passed is disappointing on the impact it could have on our schools, I'm hopeful and that we're going to ultimately see resources restored, and we're going to keep organizing and pushing until we make that happen. So that's just a kind of quick update from my end of things on the council side. I'm happy to pass it over to Councilmember Hanif if you want to jump in from here, and if you'd like me to take any questions at any point, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Councilmember Ressler. What I will start off with is that it might feel like voting no would have restored some amount of money. It would not have. And so I want to make that very clear that our where we are right now is that we are meeting with the chancellor. We met with the chancellor last Friday, a couple of us. And there's a lot of push to reverse this immediately, not wait for fall, not wait for the next budget modification. But I think what I'm feeling is necessary, as I've been doing over the last week leading up to today, is meeting with parent leaders in the district and principals, convening every single stakeholder to really open up the budget conversation around what the budget process looks like and the decisions that we have to make to ensure that we are setting ourselves up for the future. So the budget fight around education is not over, and we're doing everything in our power to ensure that the $215 million are reversed. I am sending a separate letter to the chancellor detailing the conversations I've had with our schools and our principals. I need to be a voice in the council to look after every school in the district and not be iced out, not be in the dog pound because of the choice of a vote. And so right now, I am feeling that we will certainly restore the cuts while also making sure that teachers at risk of being accessed do not leave their school building, that they are in their school building through the year and are getting paid from the central pot of money. That has been shared at the table, that no teacher should be displaced from their school, because we know the adverse effects that has on the school community. I've heard from every single school, including the principals who I've been in conversation with. And so the conversation around the formula being broken and seeing the way in which the PEP was utilized as a way to double down and keep the funding formula as is, while being promised that there will be a task force created. A task force was created in the last administration too, and the report was never released. And so we've heard enough of the mayor and the chancellor, and it's important for us to realize that those with the power to bring the money back and those with the power to change the funding formula in a mayoral control era don't care about our schools, don't care about New York City families. And so I would urge the CEC to connect with other CECs to keep the pressure on the mayor. It is absolutely vital that you are writing to the mayor, that the mayor recognizes that what took place is not right, and it must be restored immediately, that no cuts should be happening right now, that the small class sizes that we've been able to implement through this time is how it should be, while also the classes that were being offered, whether that was adding another phys ed class, musical theater, musical or other arts initiatives, having the adequate amount of guidance counselors in our schools, these all should be in place no matter how many students there are in our schools. And so there's work ahead, and for the schools in my district, I'm determining the best path forward in terms of making sure that the council member is working with our PTAs, the CEC, SLT, principals in a format where I'm hearing from you, you're hearing from me. We did something like that with the principals already, but there's more to be done while the council continues to put the pressure on the mayor as well. And that has been really complex and challenging, to be just very frank. And, you know, I've talked to some of the CEC members here in person as folks have had questions and like questions that should be answered. There needs to be many more opportunities for transparency around like, what the hell is the budget process and who leads those conversations? Neither Lincoln or I are on the budget negotiating team, which is the select core of members who liaise with the speaker to negotiate, but happy to provide like more information as we keep as an individual member, keeping the pressure going for this reversal, and also urging every single parent here to continue writing to the mayor. If you've already done that, thank you. Please have, please also write to your council members so that they know that they need to pressure the mayor. And so if you've got friends across the city and the council member hasn't said anything about the school cuts, we need to put the pressure on them too. So this Friday, we've got a education oversight hearing happening. I'll be sending out a note to encourage testimony. It is important for the CEC members, especially, to testify and to encourage your students or other leaders, stakeholders to also testify. It is unfortunate that it is simply not enough for me as an individual council member to restore these dollars. The onus, unfortunately, in this mayoral administration is on all of us. And I'm sorry that it's that way. I'm sorry, but we need all of us.
Thank you, council members. Considering this wasn't built into our presentation.
I'm sorry, this is Rob Aguilar from Councilmember Alex Aviles' office. If I can have a moment also.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, so this is Rob Aguilar from Councilmember Alex Aviles' office.
Go ahead.
Up until the weekend before the vote took place, our office received over 1,000 emails and hundreds of calls from constituents telling us that they did not support these outrageous cuts to schools. And for that reason, Councilmember Alexa Aviles voted no, as a show that we did not support these outrageous cuts. The budget was 2 weeks early. I think that at that point, had other council members stood strong and voiced that they also did not support these cuts, there was 2 weeks left to negotiate. And I think that was the time to do that. So, for that reason, Councilmember Alexa Aviles voted no, and she stood firm on that. So that is her stance, that is our office's stance, and that's what our constituents in District 38 wanted. And that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that this is a really challenging situation, and we're in the situation that we're in right now with a mayor who doesn't seem like he wants to prioritize education. So, we're seeking guidance from all three of you, since you're here, and from others of our elected officials. But as you can imagine, and I'm sure your experience also, this is incredibly frustrating and enraging. Like, we have teachers and staff, administrators, people who, we love and respect, who are being accessed, and it's just absolutely unacceptable. And whatever conversations you're having with the DOE, I'm really sorry to say that we're back to the days of like not knowing if we can even trust the people we're talking to at the Department of Education. It's really a terrible time for parents and schools to just be living this nightmare. And it's really, really unfair. And I hope that the three of you will do everything that you can to advocate as strongly as you can to just fund our schools. It's just the simplest, most basic request. So I'm not going to say anything more. I'm going to hand it back over to Joe. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. As this was added to our meeting tonight, this very important part, I wanted to check with my CEC members. I proposed that we have a Q&A at the top of this meeting rather than at the end, so that the council members can be on to hear that. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I second.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have to do a formal vote or can we just move on with it? It
Let's
seems
move
like,
Keep going.
okay. Okay.
All right. I will start us off as usual with CEC comments, questions, and then we'll move to public comments, questions. Antonio, you had your hand raised.
Now I was editing the agenda. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you'll permit me two simple questions, it seems like the time to negotiate is not after you have already voted. So my question is, why did the council vote too early, so early, 2 weeks before the budget is due? And what will happen to the $5 billion in federal funds that we currently have access to, but will expire?
So I can start, and if that, unless Councilmember Hanif, unless you'd prefer. Okay. So firstly, on the federal money, which I do think we need a much better accounting for from the Department of Education, and that's in part what we're hoping to accomplish at the oversight hearing on Friday. My understanding is that the remaining resources are allocated out over the next 2 years to a range of initiatives, including 3K, and some money to lessen the blow of the flawed funding formula that's tied to the reduction in enrollment that we've experienced. So just for background, the way that, there's been a decline of about 70,000 kids in our schools over the last 2 years plus during the pandemic. And federal funds were used during that time to essentially hold schools kind of harmless, quote unquote, and not experience any loss in funding, no matter their enrollment. What Mayor Adams is insistent on is that there is a gradual step down over the course of the next 3 years, so that for schools that have experienced a loss in enrollment, this year, if they've lost 100 kids, then the DOE would provide funding for 50 of those kids that are no longer there. That would be less next year, and then in 2 years' time, no funding would be provided for the reduced enrollment. No additional supplemental funding would be provided for the loss of enrollment. Now, this is a flawed funding formula, and it's the wrong way to be thinking about how to support our schools at this time. But the mayor has been insistent that this is the approach he wants to take. I very much agree with you that this should have been resolved before the budget, and we pushed very hard to have the speaker and the leadership team in the council try to get this funding restored in the budget process. And I wish that I was responsible for setting the date of the vote. I wish that my advocacy for the vote, for giving us more time to work through this issue, was heeded. It was not. And it's a frustrating dynamic, and it would have felt great to vote no on this budget and to say there are problems here that I do not support, and instead the calculation that I made was that in the end I can do more to support my district. I'll be more likely to be in a position to help push successfully for the restoration of this funding if I'm in the room, and if I can help, and I will be able to better help deliver for my constituents and especially our schools. I wish that this had been handled differently. I wish that this funding was resolved in the budget, but it has not. It was not, and this is unfortunately not something that we were able to get leadership in the council to embrace.
Yeah, I'll just add that the dollars that the comptroller pointed out as unspent is something that the mayor and chancellor don't agree exist. And then the other call we've made is for the dollars to be restored by way of the Department of Education's extremely bloated budget of over $30 billion. And that's what we're hoping to probe on at Friday's hearing around the ways in which the DOE is spending its money in the first place, and that the money exists and the money needs to be put into this. The other narrative that is being shared around these federal dollars is that these are temporary dollars, and the dollars should not have been spent for permanent hires nor permanent programming, etc. And we're refusing that narrative. And so have just been calling for the necessity to find the dollars and for every school to have the programming that it has been able to create through the last year or so, and to keep the class sizes where they are without any disruption. And absolutely right now the council is looking for ways, if we've got jurisdiction to change the federal student funding formula and what the work needs to be in coordination with our state partners to get that done, and with the leadership of the PEP. I mean, the PEP is a body that I'm looking to, and I'm wondering like what other ways in which we can collaborate here, because that needs to change immediately. The funding formula is archaic. It is not an equitable way to determine how schools should receive funding and how much money, and really fails our schools in deplorable ways.
Thank you. Let's, Nancy, your question next.
Thank you, Joe. My daughter is in 3rd grade. We are so fortunate that she is in a dual language program. She has 2 teachers in her dual language program. Both of those teachers have now been excessed. Her teachers will no longer be teaching in her school next year because they have been excessed. And if the school cannot, if this budget doesn't materialize from the DOE, if there's no way for them to stay in the school, they will not be at the school. My daughter is like in love with her 2nd grade teacher. Every time she sees her, she goes, she hugs her. She's excited to see her. Both of my kids, my 5th grader goes and sees his teachers. And now, only because our mayor has decided that he does not want to properly fund public schools, my daughter now, this is like one child, right? She's an example of all of the children who are not going to be able to have that continued relationship with the teachers that they have grown to love. I'm not okay with that. And I'm not okay with saying Like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. We'll find the money, we'll figure it out. This needed to be figured out before any teachers were on the line, before any kids' future situations were on the line. There is no reason for us to be in this position right now.
Thank you, Nancy. Tia.
Hi, I just wanted to, I was a little bit unclear, Councilmember Bressler. It sounded like you were explaining the mayor's reasoning, you know, by talking about how the federal dollars were a stopgap, you know, during the time when, hey, Walter, can you stop for a second? You know, until the federal dollars would be phased out. I just wanted to point out that that schools were already underfunded before the federal dollars came in for COVID, and that the extra funding that we got for COVID actually gave schools, brought schools up to more closer to the standards that we should have. When you have schools like PS 321 raising $1 million to supplement their budget, and other schools in the city, PTAs doing that, raising money to supplement their budgets, that tells you that schools are underfunded. And so whether, you know, returning to pre-pandemic funding is not adequate, and the idea that the federal money should be, you know, that we should step down over 2 years because we can't sustain adequate funding isn't really what I want to be hearing from my leaders. I want for my leaders to say, look at what we've been able to do with this extra funding. We are going to make sure that our schools are adequately funded going forward, you know, through my leadership. You know, Shahana, I know that, you know, a lot of your volunteers were, you know, I know them, they're education activists. So, you know, I'm hoping that you're successful in pressuring the chancellor and the mayor, considering, you know, our district and the support that you've gotten. Thanks.
Thank you, Tia. I'm going to go to Vanessa as our last CEC comment, and then I'll move to public comment. Vanessa?
Can I just say for a second, I couldn't agree with you more. I was trying to just explain to you the mayor's rationale in what he is saying and what we are negotiating against. And so I agree with you completely that the funds that have been allocated to our schools during the pandemic have been making up for, that have been filling gaps for schools that have been under-resourced for generations. And so we need to hold on to each and every one of these dollars and continue to expand now more than ever, coming hopefully, you know, after, you know, our students have been experiencing such extreme learning loss and adverse conditions during the pandemic. So, you know, but I think it is important to understand what they're saying and why they're saying it so that we can articulate the best arguments against them.
Thank you. Vanessa?
So I'll say that completely agree with you, Lincoln. And my question will be, why is this not already being done? Why are council members voting on a budget that doesn't support those efforts? I know Shahana sent a letter the day after the vote or the weekend after, I don't remember, within the day or two after the vote, saying that there was a lack of time to review what exactly was inside of the budget that she voted for, and therefore she voted yes. To me, that seems irresponsible to the constituents and to the students in her district and in the city. Education is just a topic that you do not touch when it comes to giving money to your students. It's robbing the future out of your constituents. And it just seems to me that this is not treated in the way that we need to treat the people in the district, with respect, in the respect that they deserve. And so my worry is that there are no sustainable plans being put forward by our council members, which was clearly evidenced by the vote that reflected that there were no plans already set in place, in that this is an attack on education coming from our leaders. So it's really concerning. Thank you.
Thank you, Inessa. I've listed Jane as next on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to start off by saying that I'm about to reveal something personal, and I know many people on this call, but I think it's important that I do so. So I'm going to read, if that's okay. My child has a chronic condition which makes her a special needs student, and she has an individual education plan due to her physical challenges. She has had a health para that follows her every move every day for the last year to ensure that she is safe and that she thrives. I worked for months with our amazing school to examine her needs in conjunction with what the school currently offers her based on the school's current capabilities, which include staff to student ratio and class size. Based on these current school attributes, myself and her amazing teachers and the people in charge of her IEP decided that my daughter would be safe next year. She no longer needed an individual health para following her every move. Due to the school change, because of the council's voting to pass the budget, my child will no longer be safe. My child will be in a class that's too large for her, and my child will be in a classroom with a ratio of teachers that is lower than what we planned. I'm curious to know, specifically from Shahana, who is my representative, if she has thought about or planned what's going to happen with every single child with a legally bound individual education plan that may be moot.
Thank you, Jane, for sharing about your child. I can assure you that I am fighting to restore these dollars. And if you can send me which school this is happening at, I'll be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that what you just described is not happening right now.
What is happening is not a function of my school. It's a function of your vote. And I'm speaking on something that is an issue for every single child with an IEP. So I appreciate your offer, and I will take you up to speak about it more, but I want you to know that I am not a unique case. I represent probably 1/3 of the families that you represent, to whom your vote failed. My second question is, cutting school budgets is anti-woman. It does not support an anti-racist education system. It works against gun safety, and it is ableist to students with disabilities. Shahana and Lincoln, will you consider resigning given that you are working against the community good?
I've shared that I am not proud of the decision I made. I spoke to every principal leading up to the vote, and I needed to have my voice in the council to fight for this. I didn't want to face the repercussions that come with the no vote. I chose to have the backing of my schools and to be able to do the job that my constituents voted me to do. I want to be effective at it. I know this is hard. This is disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. I'm learning what the inside is looking like with the current mayor that we have and our current speaker. But I am fighting for our schools every single day. I want these cuts to be reversed. I want the dollars, and we are fighting. I'm fighting. I'm fighting. And that's what I can just assure you, that we are working our hardest right now to get these dollars back into the schools and for the money not to be contingent on enrollment.
Mhm. Okay, my last comment is that we teach our children that the best way to use their voices and the best way to fight is through their vote. So I welcome you to think about the message that this sends to our children also, because I don't think you fought for us.
Thank you, Jane. I think your comments and questions really put a lot of weight into this discussion. And I'm sorry, was it Elton next? I'm looking for my notes.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me lower my hand here. There we go. My name is Elton Dodson. I am the executive director of the Mural Justice Project, and I'm a dad to 3 kids, one of who graduated from District 15 and 2 who are still in it, and my 8-year-old is at PS 295. I pride myself on how we conduct Mural Justice Project and building bridges and creating connections, even when they are with folks that didn't always align with what we're fighting for in our schools, which is transparency, access, creative expression, equity, and justice for our kids. And, you know, I say that because I feel very emotional, very upset, very betrayed by 2 people that I know and believe to be extraordinary leaders and who should have been better. But I also want to share that this is just the beginning, and we can trust you. We can work together as a community, and we can move beyond this as a community if you are willing to be brave in the face of what is largely a tyrannical city government. And I'd like to share some of my experiences with you, because this isn't my first rodeo. I was a county commissioner, mayor pro tem. Granted, my budget was $4 billion, not over $100 billion, but the principles are the same. And let me share some of these things. You have 51 members of the city council. And in a council with 51 members, your vote is never going to grant you any kind of outsized influence. Voting against something you believe in isn't going to gain you points, because it's a zero-sum game. And our schools are a red line. As I think Vanessa mentioned, you don't cross it, no matter what you're promised. And if you do cross that line, it's not going to grant you respect or power or access to influence, because there are times to compromise, but cutting our schools off at the knees is not that time. The power in this council comes from mobilizing your base, which is the opposite of what you've done. You know, Mural Justice Project, we worked, you know, this budget came up, it was announced on Sunday, the vote was going to be on Monday. That alone should have caused an outcry on the city council. It should have caused people to rally, not just on the city council, but in the community, which it did, because Mural Justice Project in less than 24 hours shared 27,000 letters to the city council, to our state representatives. And Alexa listened. And you can tell that Alexa came up in her political power through the school system, because she did, just like people on the CEC, because that's where she came up. And so she understands. And I'm sure that she was bullied by Adams and Adams, just like everyone else. And maybe she even intended to vote for this budget. But once she heard her constituents, she made the right call. And that right call is to say, we will not be moved when it comes to our students or our school budgets. Because what is the point long-term of all these wonderful things, and they were wonderful that were in the budget, from housing to poverty programs to helping lift people up in our community. What is the point of that if we never give them a chance in the first place because we flush our education system down the toilet? You're creating the problems that you're trying to solve by destroying our education system, by taking this money away when the money should be increased. At $295, we have been through so much. And we have come so far. We have new leadership coming in. We are looking to build a model for not just District 15, not just the DOE, but for the country on how you can create an art school for everyone. A grassroots art school that uses art, not in an elitist, snobby audition only way, but in a way that binds and builds our character of our students together in a universal language of creativity. And we have been so motivated, so excited about how far we have come. And then to feel so betrayed by these votes, it's like a gut punch. It takes the winds out of your sails. It's like, how are we gonna do this now? PS 295, the school that I just said in an article a few weeks ago is the little school that could, we are losing 38% of our budget. How are we going to move our children forward and create this model, this vision that this community came together, formed this nonprofit to create? Because those projects that you're so proud of that got funded in the budget, the very noble, good projects, you're just gonna need more money and more money for those projects because we're investing less and less in our children. So where will they end up? I am usually pride myself on my stoicism, and I normally don't talk like this, but you're striking at the heart of everything we have organized for, everything we have fought for, and you're taking it from us. And you've gotten no points for this from Adams or Adams. I promise you. Been there, done that. I had the exact same thing happen to me in my budget process, and I made the call to fight my mayor, who I was allied with. It was a very public break. She actually ran a primary candidate against me as a result of breaking with her, but I got so much more accomplished, including one of the first LGBTQ rights bills passed, by the way, in Georgia, by speaking truth to power and standing up against this. And it wasn't easy, the pressure that I felt, the ostracization that I got from my fellow county commissioners and from the mayor. But it was the right call. And again, as I said in the beginning of this, I trust your motives, I do. And I think you want to fix this. I don't know how. The vote's done. I don't care what the state funding is, the excellence funding or the federal funding. This is going to be a scar to our kids for a long time. I've talked too long. I should try not to do this, but thank you for your time. And whatever can be done, Mural Justice Project is there to lend whatever support we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Elton. Wise words as usual. Always adding to the conversation. Bradley, I had you next.
Hi, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thank you. I'm on the phone. I think I'm happy that I was picked next because first off, I just snapped for Elton, and I think I'm kind of going to pick up where he left off. I come to this meeting as a District 15 parent. I've been a teacher. I currently work for the union. And so I see a lot of things, but I want to really just speak as a parent today. The purpose of this COVID funding was to ensure stability within our school system. And the result of what these budget cuts do is it undercuts that purpose, because the excessing has been done, and that creates trauma and added instability to our schools. And I'm not just talking about students' relationships with teachers and the educators, but just running a school. When you lose staff, the CEC folks can probably attest to it, that you talk to principals about how they have to all of a sudden reinvent everything. it will, without a doubt, there's nothing that can be done now. It will result in increased class size next year and a narrowing of the curriculum. The first people to go in accessing are always arts. It's always arts, it's always languages, it's always anybody who is enriching our students beyond core curriculum. So, and I'm not trying to drag anyone over the coals. What's done is done, but I think it's very important that the council members understand what has taken place, and hopefully that will motivate them as they move forward. As far as fair student funding goes, I really encourage council members to look into the history of fair student funding. It has not always been this way. It is part of, this is Bloomberg era stuff, which was trying to starve and bleed our schools. And that is what is happening today. And I'm not going to name names yet, but you can look into the DOE administration and see what's common. We will be facing another ATR pool, which will create more instability within our schools. And this is the last thing I want to say, because my child's school has handled this amazingly. I can tell you that all the money we raised from the PTA is all zeroed out now, and it's just catching up, which is a little disheartening. But we're faced with an argument over ideologies of public education. That's what's happening now, and I really want the council people to hear this. Fair student funding is a certain idea, right? Like that this is like, supply and demand, and that's what education is, and best rise to the top, instead of just giving everyone what they need when we talk about equity. And that the same people who got you elected will support you in these fights. Like, we are here, we are ready to battle with you. Just tell us where to go. And I'll just plug, I encourage everyone to come to City Hall Friday at 3 o'clock as we rally and protest.
Thank you so much, Bradley. Yvonne?
Yes, Joe, thank you. Thank you, my fellow council members and everybody that is here tonight with us, as frustrated as we all are. I'm an immigrant. I'm a person that coming from a third world country where the national budget is $49 billion for 32 million people. And here in New York, we have, the Department of Education has a budget of $34 billion for how many people? 1.5 million, 2 million. Let's say 3 million people will use that budget. It's $34 billion. And here we are 2 weeks ago, begging for a librarian in each school, begging for art in our schools, begging for teachers that are gonna be helping our kids with disabilities. It's just a general reflection, but I want you to understand how some of us and the council feel about the situations that are happening around us in our community and in the country. And at the same time, year in, year out, we have between $500 and $800 million paying to the police department for their abuse. So it's something that we need to question, and we need to understand, and really parents, educators don't feel like this is the end. We need to do something about it, and nobody else is gonna do it for us. That's why we're here. That's why we're giving this space for your voice, and to understand how some of us that are coming from some other places where education wasn't funded, and we know what happens when education is not funded. We having that experience, we have seen that, we have grown up in those environments, and this is where we are right now, sitting in a council in New York City, in the United States of America, and listening to these things are very hurtful to me, because we shouldn't be begging for teachers or for librarians. But don't feel discouraged. Don't feel discouraged. I mean, we need to work together. That's my general reflection. Think about it. Stop thinking about throwing people under the bus or anything. I mean, impossible. It just takes a little longer. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. even. Thank you for reminding us to stay hopeful. Arsenio, your last comment.
Oh, great. Hi, my name is Arsenio Riley Collins. I'm the district Title I rep. I'm a parent of a middle schooler and of a baby that's on my boob right now, nursing. I don't know how you sleep at night. Like, I am so upset right now. Like, you have no shame. Like, no shame. Like, how dare you? Like, the stakes are so high. Like, these are our kids. Not only that, there were at least three teachers laid off today at MS 88. These teachers have their babies in our daycares in our neighborhoods. This is going to have ripple effects on our economy locally. And it's going to have an impact on their families. It's going to have an impact on our stores. It's going to have an impact everywhere. Our classroom sizes are going to get larger. We live in Brooklyn. We don't live in the suburbs. We live in Brooklyn because we have the best schools. We have the very best schools in this country. Incredible. The shit that the teachers have to put up with, the stuff that the administration has to put up with, they don't have to do that in the suburbs. The stuff that people are dealing with at local school boards across this country, we don't have to deal with that, but we have to deal with a lot of other things, like schools falling apart. They're so underfunded as it is. I mean, the fact that there is a little bit of federal funding that we were able to take advantage of, and the fact that you just voted this down, I mean, what were you thinking? Like, literally, I am so enraged right now. Like, the only way that you can either make it up is by resigning in shame or doing some sort of civil disobedience, like putting yourself in front of Broadway and sitting down and taking back those votes. But this is just this as a disgrace. This is New York City. We don't do this to our children. We don't do this to our teachers. We don't do this to our communities. And I am just outraged. I'm so outraged and upset. I am on my school SLT at Brooklyn Collaborative. I'm, a Title I rep there. I served with Alexa on PS 172's PTA and SLT. And that woman, I have to tell you this, she knew every single parent in that school. And she has a patience and grace of, I don't know how she does it. I do not have that at all. And I always admired that she gave every parent an ear, because I was like, Jesus Christ, this is really annoying. I was secretary, but you know what? God bless her, because she knows what it's like to be a parent. She knows what it's like. I have certain privileges. She has certain privileges. We all, and she knows what it's like to advocate for parents that don't have that access. And for you to betray these parents is just I've said outrageous so many times. I'm not the most articulate person, but I am just fuming. And I just think that you should not sleep at night. You should do whatever you can to reinstate that funding. And just, I think I've said everything I can, but this is just abysmal, ridiculous. We're in New York City, the best city in the world, and we have to deal with this BS. Oh, and thank you so much to Camille and to everyone on the CEC. They work their butts off. These people work nonstop. I mean, I don't know how. I'm volunteering, not even getting paid to do this. So I don't know why you do that. I don't know if you're a glutton for punishment. And thank you so much to all the interpreters. God bless you. You're doing God's work. And, we need to have interpreters to bring about equity to our parents and to other communities. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Arsenio. That was our last comment. I think what a grand finale you gave us too, because I think that perfectly captured so many of our fears and worries and anger. And it's a time for us to move forward. Camille.
I think everybody needs to take a deep breath now. And, thank God we have each other for the support, because we really need it. And let's do whatever we can. Let's all show up on Friday. Let's write letters to the mayor through the online portal. without ever getting a response, but let's just do it because we need to do what we are able to do. So I saw that somebody dropped something in the chat about what which school was it? 839 is doing. Whatever you can do. I know it's June 21st. We only have another week of school left, but whatever you can do, just reach out to anyone that you can. So thank you so much. Thank you to our council people for staying on this call and answering questions and listening to your constituency. I'm just going to move on to the next agenda item. It's already 8 p.m., but we have Meredith Kiley here from the Office of School Food and Nutrition. She's going to be giving us some updates. Meredith has been a longtime friend and advocate in District 15 for school foods. And thank you so much for being here, Meredith. The floor is yours.
Hi, I don't even know how I follow, all of this, but good evening, respected CEC members. Thank you for having me. I know the CEC drives awareness, buzz, and action. You are the best of the best of the best, and I wish you the best on Friday. I'm here tonight, joined by my colleagues, Nicole Bonica and Nicole Scarangello, and they are registered dietitians and they work within the menu management department. Brevity is not my strength, but I will try to be as concise as possible and deliver the school food updates, beginning with the current events. I'd like to say, being today is the first day of summer, we will be inside the Summer Rising buildings, serving students breakfast and lunch meals and snacks upon request, since enrichment ends at 6 p.m. We also opened 6 community feeding schools throughout the district, and those schools are open for dine-in service for community constituents 18 years and younger. Those schools are PS 32, PS 38, 676, 24, 169, and 94. So on the lighter side, let's talk soup. And I just want to start with some exciting news. We had a plastic-free lunch day at PS15 recently. And it started by the students at PS15. They led the first plastic-free lunch day. And it is a step toward eliminating all single-use plastic. A waste audit was conducted at the end of the day, and 100 pounds is the average of trash was reduced to just 1 pound. So that is our goal, and that's the city's goal by 2030 to reduce solid waste. And it's just the evolution of school food. I've been working for school food for 22 years, and I have nostalgia for what existed. And I remember styrofoam. And styrofoam was replaced then by paper boats, which were then replaced by compostable trays, and finally compostable utensils. So if we could do one plastic-free day a month, we're doing wonders to reduce waste in our landfill and ocean. Our menus are student-driven. We offer frequent taste testings, and we had several from February to the present. And the schools that hosted these taste testings were MS 136, 146, Brooklyn Collaborative Studies, and PS 15. Because we're in a pandemic, we now conduct these taste testings in the school cafeteria. But pre-pandemic, these students get on a yellow school bus and they come to Long Island City, our hub, our main headquarters, and they utilize the test kitchen and they taste products. And from that, we get the opportunity to capture student ideas, new product acquisition, and if a particular product received a 60% approval rating, then it will be on our menu. At breakfast, we have removed juice. Juice is no longer offered on our meal pattern. It is still available to students with the 504s, IEPs, diabetes, and available to nurses and medical emergencies. So there's some news at lunch. And if you think of the two bookends of the week, Monday and Friday, we're doing meatless Monday and we're doing plant-powered Friday. And there's lots of reasons why people follow a plant-based diet, but here's the logic for it. Animal welfare, environmentally friendly, and health benefits. It is a big change, but the menus we prepare and serve are done with integrity. We offer salad bars in over 1,000 school kitchens. Halal is an option. It's available to any school that's interested. Currently in 60 schools and growing. There were recently 24 new certification requests filed. Halal options are currently included on all menus. All a school has to do is email their school food service manager or district supervisor. By the way, I'm the district supervisor for District 15, and I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself, Meredith Kiley, OFNS district supervisor. And you will be placed in the next round of halal sites. It's really a three-step process. The school service manager and the kitchen team receives training. The imam comes in, does a kitchen inspection, and offers the certification. We've always supported students with food allergies. And as soon as it's brought to our attention, we get on a call. We include the nurse, the parent, the manager, supervisor, administration, and we decide the course of the dietary accommodation or individual meal customization for different conditions. The milk options that we offer alternate milk, soy milk, and lactose-free milk. We offer 1% milk, skim milk, and chocolate milk. School communities and principals make the decision to choose chocolate milk to be removed from the menu with the condition that 2 other milk alternatives are still present. So the 1% and the fat-free. We now have cafeteria enhancement experiences. This is coming to John Jay High School in the fall of this coming year, school year 23. I'd like you to think of the CEE as a food court, and we're transforming middle schools and high schools. We sat in on the meeting with John Jay, and it's quite amazing. The students picked out their own furniture, their own art decor. There's charging stations, and it's all self-serve food. So the students have more time to relax, and it's faster service. Our other big goal is to eliminate processed meat. By the World Health Organization definition, it's anything that's cured, salted, or fermented. We're phasing out deli sandwiches by hopefully September of 2022. It's part of a larger initiative that's happening in the city, and we are the first school food authority to take this step. We will have chicken salad sandwiches as an alternate, which supports the cold menu. I do have Nicole on the call to share additional information or perspective beyond what I have shared, such as the different nutritionals and such. So I'd like to give my partners, Nicole and Nicole, the opportunity to chime in now to elaborate on anything I spoke about or may have missed. Thanks.
Hi, this is Nicole Scarangello, Director of Menu Management. I'm a registered dietitian, and I am joined by Nicole Bonica, nutrition analyst and also a registered dietitian, part of the menu management team. Unfortunately, we're not seeing the PowerPoint, but what we would like to speak about a little bit is just the menu planning and how a menu is created in regards to the regulation and the requirements. So we are part of the federal nutritional meals, which is the National School Breakfast Program and the National School Lunch Program. The federal guidelines is what is encompassing the components of the meal. So like for breakfast, where we have to offer a fruit, a grain, and a milk, that's part of the menu planning. And then for like our lunch, we need to offer a fruit, a vegetable, a grain, a meat alternate, which is the protein, and a milk. So these are the components that need to happen at the menu planning level for each meal. But at the point of service, there we do have offer versus serve, where a child could decide to take the entire meal or pick and choose what items they'd like. Also, the federal requirements look at, we run USDA certified, we use a USDA certified database, which we have to implement the menus. And then we run a weekly nutritional analysis. So we look at each day individually, but the actual analysis for verification for the federal government is done on a weekly basis. It is looked at by age. So we have a K to 5, a 6 to 8, a junior high school, a high school. And for each grade, there are certain caloric requirements, ranges that need to be met for each meal. There are sodium restrictions and saturated fat requirements that have to be met weekly for each meal, in addition to the components and what makes up our fresh fruits and our vegetables as well. Then we have the New York City Food Standards, which has just been updated and released as of April 2022. The New York City Food Standards really is helping us look at items at the, looking specifically at nutritionals at the item levels. For instance, a yogurt, right? A yogurt, a 4-ounce yogurt in the new standards is recommended to be unflavored and also is required to have 12 grams of sugar or less. There's additional standards, like let's say for a chicken patty, that item itself would need to be, the breading would need to be whole grain, and its sodium could not surpass 480 milligrams per serving. So each item or category of items has certain requirements, nutritional standards at the New York City Food Standards. Then in addition to that, we have our internal standards. So what we mean by our internal standards is OFNS has a prohibited ingredient list. You can find that on the DOE website, and it is, it's an evolving document. So as the industry changes, as we feel that maybe something needs to be added to that list, we adjust our prohibited ingredients. Even though the federal government may recognize an item to be safe, we still discontinue that. We don't use it in our ingredients and items because of the population we serve. We serve students and they're growing. So even though the federal government may say it's safe to be put in our food, we don't want it in our food because of our students. And then we also may have like a certain requirement, like I mentioned, a chicken patty, a specification for OFNS. We have certain requirements that are met for certain items. So for a chicken patty and all of our chicken, that item has to be certified no antibiotics ever and certified humanely raised. And then, like I said, we have the 51% whole grain standard as well for the breading. So in addition to that, I guess the other part that I'll touch on as well is just accommodations, meal accommodations we make for a student that may have a certain need because of a disease or an allergen. So we share ingredient labels with parents and principals, teachers, whoever may ask for it, nursing. Often we share ingredient labels that if they want to know anything about the ingredients and the products, the nutritionals, whatever it may be. We get a request for an ingredient label and we can share that, not a problem. And that helps assist parents with and guardians with allergens. We also then can make an adjustment at the point of service if if it's something that, you know, is reasonable that we could do, like, let's say a child says, we're having hamburgers today and I don't want to, we're having cheeseburgers today and I don't want a cheeseburger. I want to make sure I get a hamburger for whatever reason they don't want the cheese. That's something at the point of service that could be made. And then if it is a more severe allergen that needs to be addressed, or if there's some type of medical condition that needs to be addressed, a 504 would be submitted, or an action plan in the IEP. And then we, the menu management team, Nicole and I, we would help coordinate a team, right, with the 504 coordinator, the nurse, the parent, sometimes even the student, the school administration, so that we have a plan of action for this student on how we are going to accommodate them in the meal. In addition, if a student is requesting a lactose-free milk or a fortified soy milk, they would just let the nurse know and provide a note from a medical professional. The nurse then would just let the school food service manager know that they need this milk for the student, whether it's a soy or whether it's a lactose-free, and the school food service manager would bring that product into the school and have it available for the student. Yeah, and I think that's it. Any questions? We're here to answer.
We do not have time for question comments on many of the following topics, but thank you for your presentation this evening. And if you could put an email address perhaps in the chat, we could refer people to ask the questions that way.
Sure,
Thank you.
and thank you. We'd love to hear from you. Feedback will be incorporated into future menus and dining experiences. So that covers it. Thank you all for your time and attention, and I'm deeply appreciative of the collaboration between us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let us move to, I believe we're on the PAR update. Please go ahead with your presentation. Sandy, Wanda, Joey.
Hi, I guess this is my cue.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Joe. So as many of you may know, I was on the PAR team for the rezoning of subzone 3 of District 15. And so I wanted to give just a little background on what PAR is. So PAR stands for Participatory Action Research. It's a framework for creating knowledge that is rooted in the belief that those most impacted by an issue should be the ones to frame the questions, design, methods, analysis, and to determine what products and actions might be the most useful in effecting change. A PAR research team is made up of community members who are most impacted by an issue or question. A PAR team pulls from their own expertise, lived experiences, community knowledge, and existing data to collaboratively design the research, collect and analyze data, produce findings, and develop recommendations. And as a member of the PAR team in Subzone 3, I was a parent in one of the 7 schools that were going to be rezoned. And that was essentially the only expertise that I needed to have, was to be a member of the community. And so now I pass it on to the PAR team in Sunset Park, which is made up of community members from Sunset Park who are experts of their community and their children's experiences, and are coming together to determine what needs their community has for their schools. So Laura, are you on the call still? I don't think so. So I'll pass it on to Jan. Jan, are you on the call?
Hello. Hi， 大家好，我是燕强。我从PS169，我是那个 我是家教会的主席。我是 PTA 的主席。然后呢，我加入这个团体呢，是因为实务学区有4所学校新建，然后我参与了这个团体呢，觉得这个团队很强大，他们很团结，然后有什么意见啊建议都会向大家提出，然后征求大家的意见。还有我觉得呢，一个学校呢要有一个好的领导，像那个 PTA 啊，或者是 SLT 的成员，要为学校做一点事情。就是你参与了这个，你有这个职位之后呢，你要为这个学校做一点事情。谢谢。
Thank you, Jan. Can I ask our interpreter to translate for us into English, please, on the Zoom?
Yes, this is the Mandarin interpreter CEO. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, yes. Hi. Yes.
Okay, may we ask Tina say like 2 to 3 sentences, then I can translate after her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So maybe
Yeah,
you could
I will talk to Tina. Okay. Hello, Tina, 你在这里吗？ Hello, Tina.
他的名字应该叫燕吧？
燕啊，你好，你好，我是那个翻译员。你刚刚的发言，你可不可以再重新讲一遍，然后一次讲2、3句，这样翻译。现在可以帮你在 Zoom 上翻译好吗？
哦，你刚才是叫我吗？
对对对对，就是你的发言，你就从头开始，就是讲1到2、3句就停，然后好给翻译时间翻译好吗？
好的。
那你从头
大家好
来一遍，
大家好，我叫燕成，我是169 PS169的家教会主席。
好，然后请停一下。Good evening, everyone. My name is Yan Chen. I am the PTA president from PS169. 请讲。
OK，我现在加入这个团队呢，叫 Sunset Park PAR Team。这个团队呢是为了新建在实务学区新建的4所学校，给予意见和建议，就是去调查每一所学校的成员或者是家长给出的意见。
好，先暂停一下哈。I attended the association is PART, which is from Sunset Park. Our mission is in the serving the district 15 for newly built school. We collected opinion and the parents' feedback. 好，然后请继续。
对于一个学校呢，比如说你参与了 PTA 或者是 SLT， 成为他的一员，然后你要为学校的家长提意见，参与其中，然后让学校的家长也知道学校的运程。谢谢。
Okay. As a member of the PTA or SLT, we connected the parents and informed them about what's the situation about the school, and we try to encourage them engage with the school's activities. This is very important. 还有吗？
还有我加入这个团体Sunset Park PAR 这个 team 呢，我就觉得对于一个团队来说，有一个强大的团队也是很重要的。就是你有什么事情啊，你要说出来啊，让大家去给意见啊，然后对于学校来说会非常重要。因为有什么事情一定要说出来，然后让学校知道要怎么改进的。谢谢。
Okay. As a member of the PAR, which is from Sunset Park team, I highly pay attention to the teamwork. I think it's important to speak up our opinions, and as a representative of the parents' voice should be heard. And I also think this is very important for us to connect and pass over these opinions to the school, building bridge between two sides. 还有吗？
没有了，谢谢。
That's all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We have a few more people want to speak, actually.
thank you.
Jin, yeah, sorry about that. We're just passing it around. Jin and then Fang, and we have a couple people. Yeah, Jin, go, yay.
Excellent.
Hello， 大家好，我的名字叫刘景，我是来自 PS896的，我的孩子在今年才 kindergarten， 明年是1年级，他是我只是一个普通的家长。
Ziyu, you're muted.
896。
Sorry. Okay. Good evening. My name is Liu Jing. I am the student parent from PSA 896. My kids is in kindergarten now and is gonna go to the first grade next year.
我也是来自D15 的那个Sunset Park PAT 的那个成员之一。
等一下哈。I am one member of the PAT from Sunset Park in District 15.
这个是对我来说是帮助很大的，因为如果没有接触这个的话，我就不知道未来还有4所新学校，什么是 CEC， 什么是 PAT， 什么是 SLT， 这些都是我没有接触到的，还有跟其他的成员一起聊天，才知道很多很多不一样的事情。
Attending this association benefit myself a lot. I have learned what is the definition about CEC, PAT, and SLA. Through the speaking with other members, I have learned lots of new knowledge which I hadn't known before.
这是我对我就是最大的就是那种帮助啊，或者怎样，就是跟其他的成员聊天才知道这些事情的。
I have learned a lot of new knowledge through the talking with other members. I benefit a lot from this activity.
那就这样吧，其他人还要讲，我就不讲了。
That's all I want to speak. Thank you.
Is Eva here? If Eva not here, I'm next.
Yes, we're here.
Is Eva here?
I see in the, it says Eva had to drop her feed. To feed her daughter, sorry.
So can I next?
Please do.
Hi, I'm Fenton from PSA 96. I'm PTA co-president. September, I will join SLT because I want to learn more. First one, I need to say thank you for CEC because we have a parents coordinator. Now, she very sweet, fast, organized, and we love her. She helped us a lot. Thank you, CEC, because this is the last time I CEC here meeting, I talk, we need a parents coordinator. So now we have. Second one is I joined D15 Sunset Park PAR team. I hear many different voice talk about the different phase by each school. We also find a solution together, and like they teach me, join the CEC meeting, and I teach them patient, happy. If you are a happy person, so any miracle will happen. I like different language working together. Idea for different school, I learned a lot, and I made good friends like PS 169, PS 94, and PS 24, and another school. And I know Maddie, and I know another principal, and then they have a lot of different ideas. So I learned a lot, and we are together is very happy because we want is build a better school, and we working together. We hope DOE can hear our thinking, so help Sunset Park build a better school. And one more request, please, is please training PTA and SLT people, parents, please, because PTA, SLT is parents leader. If we want to teach them, we need to learn more. All the school PTA, SLT need to learn more. So we can teach parents. We want to have face-to-face meeting is like a person. We don't want to online because online learning is just learning a little bit. So we want is face-to-face. So this is I learned and I thinking, and thank you for help because last time you helped me. So this time I hope when can we have the meeting about the PTA and the SLT? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fed. My name is Tori Messina, and I'm a parent of a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old at my Sunset Park Zone School PS 516, Sunset Park Avenues. I'm on our SLT and joined the PAR group because our school has a new building, and the SLT and the greater PS 516 community had a lot of questions. Getting together with parents from all of our Sunset Park schools, especially with skilled translation informed by our community itself and from actually parents from our community who are extremely skilled at translation, but also understand schools, really allowed us to realize how much families that look very different and speak very different languages actually have in common. In particular, that all Sunset parents and families want the same thing. That at every public school in Sunset Park, that every child, every student has a supportive, enriching education. And I'm very grateful for the chance to get to know more of my neighbors, to learn more about how school leaders at other schools are supporting their communities. And I look forward to continuing to share and connect with more of my neighbors, hopefully in the fall through the PAR process. And I will pass it to Maribel.
Buenas noches, yo soy Maribel Domínguez, tengo 2 hijos en PS1. Yo soy parte del equipo de Sunset Park. Me uní para saber más sobre la comunidad y las necesidades que tenemos, y espero vernos en persona para platicar un poco más de lo que Sunset Park necesita. Muchas gracias.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maribel Dominguez. Part of the PS1. I'm part of the team, and I'm here with the team to know more about the needs of the community, and I would love to meet in person so we can learn more of these needs. Thank you.
So it's my turn right now. Maribel, are you finished?
Maribel, ¿ya terminó?
Sí, gracias.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Joy. Thank you, CEC, for holding this meeting for us. So it's long. I know you guys have a long day, long agenda, so I keep it short. My name is Joy. My kids attend PS94, so I'm very happy to join Sunset Park team. So since the party in Sunset Park, we start from February 28th, so almost being 4 months. So we do have as an outreach in our community to go to Sunset Park to collect some parents' concern or idea. And we do have from different culture, closing different culture, different schools to collection some concern and idea to make sure in Sunset Park future schools to have a better, better education for our children. So, and our feedback, we will have a recommendation in week 4 in July. Thank you very much. Have a good night. And I pass to President CEC, Camille. Thank you. Good night.
Joey, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Joey has just been a massive support of CEC15 for a number of years and an advocate for the schools, just like you all are doing now through the PAR and probably have done in the past in many different ways. So we appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences. And do reach out to us for anything that you think you might need, any way we can support. And really looking forward to hearing more about the progress that you're making. And I think you all know that we're going to be having a conversation with the chancellor about school-wide enrichment models, which is definitely something to consider for the Sunset Park schools and a way that you can get much of what you're looking for. I see Yvonne has his hand up. Go ahead, Yvonne.
Yes, thank you, Camille. Thank you, Mari. Thank you for the invitation that you did to me, and I attended your meeting. I was so happy to attend for the second time your meeting. And please, as I explain what are we doing the CEC, I just want to repeat myself again, saying that the things that you need, that you think that could help you with, we have Camille at the CEC and all the council members. We also have Anita here on the call. If you need more information about SLT, PTAs, Christine is also here. And so we are a group of people that could facilitate the contact and provide the things that you need. As an anecdotal thing that morning, it was so interesting how this community help each other. We couldn't have the interpreter in Mandarin that morning, but there is a young Spanish speaker lady, a very young woman, that she did the interpretation in Spanish and in Mandarin in that morning, and she's part of that community. So the elements to build the community, to get the things that we need for the community are there. We're here to be your voice, to make the connection for all these things that happen. And the group that you are having, Mari, there is great. Please, if you think that we can add something, invite us, send us an email, send us a text, all the information on our website, and just ask us what we can do for you guys, and so you can have this thing ready for July. And thank you again for the invitation and for the morning that I spent with you. Thanks.
Thank you. Richard, did you want to say something? Richard Connolly?
Yes, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Good to see you on the.
Well, to see, hi, I'm coming to say it's wonderful to be at the CEC again, and I'm just coming to say congratulations, go District 15. District 15, as you saw, I guess in my chat, that PS 131, PS 94 that have been competing at our tournaments this year did well, and at our championships, PS 131 was actually first place. Now, what I'll probably attach to here is we have a flyer because we have our virtual summer debate camp again. Next year, we do plan to be in person, hopefully at Brooklyn College, as well as have a virtual option. So I'll put that in the chat. We're offering 100 full scholarships, full and partial scholarships to students who'd like to join. Is from elementary to high school. So we appreciate that opportunity, and we're looking forward to hopefully working with more District 15 schools as we go in person next year. So currently, I think I said it last time, we work with, I think, 9 out of the, I believe there's 12 districts in Brooklyn. We have schools in 9 of the 12, and we call it the Brooklyn Debate Circuit. So we're definitely looking forward to continuing, and putting my information in the chat if you'd like your school to be a part of the American Debate League and compete in the Brooklyn Debate Circuit and throughout the city in the tri-state area, let us know. And lastly, in middle school and high school, we take students to Harvard University to compete. We actually had a school, Brooklyn Law and Technology, which is in District 16. They actually, some of their students competed at Harvard. Okay, we'd love to do that with District 15. So thank you, everyone. I'll put a flyer and my information in the chat. And the only thing I'll ask, if there's any questions, I'm here. If not, I guess that's my time.
Sounds great. Just definitely stay in touch, and maybe we can do a district-wide event next year. Okay, so sorry, go ahead. That would be great. Okay. Sorry, there's a little bit of a sound delay on my end for some reason. So Joe had to step away for a minute, so I'm going to take over as parliamentarian, hostess, host, whatever you prefer. Sunset Park Bar Team, again, thank you for your incredible work. We really appreciate you all. Okay, so next on our agenda is the District 15 report from Superintendent Scott. And Nancy is here and she will help you with screen sharing. Superintendent Scott.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. And I promise to talk really fast and get through this. I know that this is a long agenda and I apologize. I just want to give you a couple of updates and actually honor our students. So welcome.
Don't talk too fast though, because we do have the interpretation team.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I will be concise. I think that's the perfect word.
Thank you.
Not fast, but concise. First of all, I want to respond, as Yvonne said, Christine Farrell in our office is delighted to support any school that wants SLT or PTA training. We will schedule in person. She will be happy to come to the school and meet with people. She has done incredible work, and we are looking forward to continuing that. So please do not hesitate to ask. And Fang, we are happy to support the school. We are very proud of 896 and the work that you're doing, and the PAR team, which is extraordinary. Next slide, please. Very quickly, I'm not even going to go through this. I'm just going to walk you through the slides. Next slide. So this is Pride Month. I would be remiss if I didn't just take 2 seconds to honor Pride Month, and I urge you to read about the history of the Stonewall riots. It will break your heart. We tend to think of everything now as very acceptable, but if you look at other places in the country and you read the history of this, it is really important to honor our LGBTQIAP+ community and all they've been through. Next slide. It is Juneteenth, and we just had that yesterday, and it was wonderful to have this holiday. But again, I urge you to do some research as to what the holiday is all about, because it is a fabulous holiday and we honor Juneteenth, but it is also has a history that's a little sad, and it makes me angry, actually. And it is basically because people were not notified that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed in Texas for 2 years. So they were working as enslaved peoples for 2 years when they had already been freed. So please, this is why history is important. This is not about changing, canceling. This is about acknowledging what people have been through. Next slide. I'm going to mention this in passing because I want you to look at the date on the bottom. It is in 1967, 55 years ago, that the Supreme Court unanimously struck down laws forbidding interracial marriage. Not 100 years ago, not 200 years ago, 55 years ago. And we honor that on Loving Day, June 12th. Next slide. So I want to announce, Elton alluded to it, that Lisa Pagano, principal of 15K 295, will be retiring as of July 31st. So we wish her the best. And there will be a new administration, which is being processed for interim acting. All of the world talk about budget updates. We have been meeting as a district. Deputy, this is kudos to Nicole, but she and I have been meeting with every single school to go over their budget, to see what's going on and to fight for them. And we have had a pre-budget meeting with almost every school. And then Nicole has gone on the budget meetings with every school, unless the principal says they don't need us to go. And we have been fighting, and I have to say with due respect that we have been getting adjustments and appeals that more accurately reflect the number of students, because what we're finding is that there was a significant difference between the number of students that were being projected for next year and the number of students that are actually there this year. So it's a little strange. We are expecting in some cases less, but we are fighting for every single nickel that every school can get and every single thing. And we will continue to do so from our office to support our schools. I wanted to be clear about this. To date, the governor has not signed the class size bill, at least not that I've heard. And if and when the bill is signed, it would be a gradual rollout, taking into consideration the neediest schools first, 20% a year for 5 years. That's the plan, supposedly the city's plan, and they have to design a plan and decide which schools would be addressed each year. Again, summer school starts July 5th for all grade levels. I'm not going to read you this. You can certainly look at it, but if you don't know We have a principal in charge and an assistant principal in charge at every school. Please don't hesitate to share this PowerPoint, and you can reference it as well. I want to talk for 2 seconds about our District 15 MLL task force. This is a dream come true. What we are doing is we are working with the community, with educators, with parents, with people who are skilled in multilingual learner teaching and resources. And they have created this work that came out of an idea that we had, that we should put together a task force. Because what we want to address is the needs of our multilingual students, some of whom really don't show sufficient growth, and we want to get to the bottom of it and help them. This is not ever about punitive, but rather bringing people together the way the PAR team came together to look at what we can use to improve the success of our children. So they have decided to break up into 3 subcommittees. There is the Community Resources Subcommittee, which is compiling resources throughout the district and creating school-facing guides of community resources, translated parent one-pagers, and district-wide events. Then there is family engagement, looking at the best practices throughout the district with a needs assessment, the data and sources through an equity lens. And lastly, curriculum and instruction, which is looking at best practices focused on student talk protocols, reading interventions, assessments, and English and home language acquisition. And I just want to make a 2-second commercial about the importance of discussions with children in their home language. Using language that you give your children, your home language, is a gift. It teaches them how language works, and it enables them to be bilingual. Please know how much we appreciate you talking to your children, sharing stories, sharing recipes, sharing family histories, and asking them questions and having them answer. You are part of our curriculum staff, and we enjoy working with you. Please know you contribute so much. Thank you. Next slide, please. Again, I am not going to read this. The schools, the CEC had asked us what we were using for our grant money, and this is the map of this. I can tell you that I met with the chancellor today, and I talked at breakneck speed about all the work we're doing, and it was very impressive. This is impressive work, and we're really proud of it, and it will be continuing over the summer and in the fall, and we are honored to be able to bring these really strong consultancies into our district to create the work that we want to do. And the bonus point of this is it doesn't cost the schools anything because it's coming out of our grants. So this is the right time to be able to do this. We're very proud of this work. Thank you. Next slide. Nancy, can we go to the next slide, please? It's frozen. All right, let me go on my screen and I'll just talk us through it. Oh, this is the best part. So at our last principals conference, we spent over an hour and a half having our students present to us the work that they are doing. And it was such a joy, and we are going to arrange for some of them to be able to come and present at another CEC meeting. But I want to tell you that this is just phenomenal. We have so many winners. We have PS 131, a national chess championship in grade 5. MS 442, their Gay Straight Alliance, won a national award. The Billion Oyster Project out of 676 won 3 citywide awards. PS 24 has equity podcasts, and PS 676 has daily cable news throughout the building that looks like it was done by Channel 4. We have MS 839 did this, a group of students at MS 839 did this project called the Period Project that could be a national movement, and they are working with schools throughout the district and throughout the country. This is really incredible. They are doing, it's just amazing what these young women have done. MS 88 has an executive advisory team that is working on district-wide, citywide anti-gun violence, social justice. MSHS 497 has their international baccalaureate projects. PS 10 has won a National Chess Award, and their first graders returned to visiting Washington after the pandemic. PS 58 has their school news info hub, and PS 94 honored us with poetry slam entries from 4 of their students that were wonderful. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We have such incredible children who are doing such amazing things. And I just wanted you to have a little joy to know, despite the pandemic, despite the intensity of the year, look at what our children did. Look at what our children did. Next slide. I don't know how to make this work, and to be honest, we don't have time for this. But if you have a moment, please, the Brooklyn High School for the Arts is such a superb school, and to be honest, it's a hidden gem. People don't realize how skilled their children are. The work that they are doing, the creative artistry ensemble who I met with are students that are writing their own songs and are performing across the city. It is incredible. And they just finished a production of Rent, and they shared with us Seasons of Love, which we're going to be using at a BCO final event as well. So if you have a moment, reach out to Danny and just listen to these. They're absolutely incredible. This is truly Broadway quality productions. Next slide. I want to take a minute, just a second, to thank you all for your hard work and for your support of me. I have no idea what is going on at all, but I did meet with the chancellor today. I honestly had a lovely conversation. I don't know. All I do know is it has really been a joy to work with you. You have been the highlight and the bright spot in a very dark year. And I want you to know how amazing and important your advocacy is for our district. District 15 would not be District 15 if it wasn't for the people sitting on this team Zoom meeting tonight. You are incredible, and you are gracious and loving. And I say this all the time. What makes District 15 special is that our parents advocate for all of our children. And that is a gift to us all. So thank you so much. And with that, next slide. If you have any questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so. And that's my report.
Thank you, as always, Superintendent Scott, for bringing, compassion and helping us sublimate our rage currently into more productive ways to change things. Any questions or comments for the superintendent? Okay, thanks again. And we will move forward for, I believe, high school updates. Superintendent Ross.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Terrence. Oh, no, that's fine.
No.
Hi. Good evening again.
Terrence, welcome.
No worries, no worries. I know we're up against the time, so I will share the updates and share my screen. And while I do so, I also want to echo that I commend the advocacy and the passion that you all have on behalf of your school communities, your children, and the like. So we definitely appreciate that. So I bring welcome from Superintendent Janice Ross. So I'm gonna just give you some updates as this is the last CEC meeting. So as Superintendent Scott said, we definitely want to recognize this is Happy Pride Month and all the work and all the celebrations that we should be thinking about in terms of our communities. We definitely surfaced them. And Juneteenth, we had a fabulous showcase last week in which we had a BA 365. We have a Black History course that we introduced to all of our schools, 47 schools across our districts, high school districts, and the joy in which Superintendent Scott talked about these talented young people was on display as as a showcase in which they talked about what they did and the work around how all the learnings of a Black History Month or Black History course. So it was great. And again, we had to lift these young people up. So just to kind of go back to our goals. So our goal 1 was attendance, and this is how we're landing for the year. As a district, we pretty much plateaued around 86%, and District 15, we're at 84%. And special ed, same thing. We saw some highs with respect to all of our students and receiving all the services that are mandated. So District 15 was at 83%, and as a district, we were at 88%. This is just a breakdown going back to attendance and the spread. So I just want to highlight 2 schools. Sunset Park, they were above 80, but you all recall that horrendous accident, subway and shooting. So we kind of lost some of our attendance since that incident. And Cobble Hill, they're 3 points away from 80, but they at one time were the lowest attendance school with respect to attendance in our district. And they were in the 60s and they inched up to 77%. So we want to applaud them for their effort. This is just to give you a sense of what we've done the last this month. We recognize our parent coordinators and our PTA presidents, because without them, the work on the ground in terms of interfacing with parents and being able to message in what has been a crazy year, to say the least, we wanted to honor them. So this is just some faces and places from our meeting that was held at one of our schools. And then we also recognize our My Sister's Keeper young ladies. We had a crowning ceremony last week. It was fabulous. They all received crowns as for all the work that they've done as a collective. And then our young men, 2 things we want to just shout out. First, we had again, crazy year. My young people definitely suffered with all the changes, and we're still experiencing the impact of the pandemic. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to identify and raise up brotherhood. So we had a field day at one of our schools in District 16, really fun. Kevin Powell, for those of you who are aware of his advocacy and as a voice for the community, he was there to share words, and it was just a great day. Notes to my son, that was our PD offering last June 9th. This is a space in which we created to raise up the practices across our schools that advance outcomes of Black and Brown young men. And it was facilitated by our partner, Dr. Yolanda Seeley Ruiz, and it was incredible. Our focus this year was joy. How do we inspire joy among our boys? Because joy is an indicator for student engagement, so very critical. So again, we'll be building on this, and we'll be sure to share those updates with you all. We had a Reimagine Schools TED Challenge where we asked our schools to really build on the pillars, but before the pillars, we always had to think about how we reimagine our educational space. And I'm proud to say that our winner this year was one of District 15's very own, CASA, Principal Sharon Evans from the John Jay campus. Her young people got together and talked about the things that they felt were important for the school community, and we awarded them with a plaque. So they won the TED Talk Challenge. And to close us out, this is our newsletter, which you all will have access to. And one last thing before I close, in terms of summer school and the budget, again, very spirited conversations that you all held and had tonight. So just like Superintendent Scott, Superintendent Ross, and our deputy, they are attending the budget meetings to advocate on behalf of our principals. So that's first and foremost. And for summer school, we have 3 summer school sites: John Jay Campus, Sunset Park, and I'm missing one. John Jay Camp. Well, we also have it's not one of ours, but Superintendent Scott, I think, had it. It's at Digital Tech. They have
Digital Tech. Yeah, it's a 497 campus.
497, right.
Yeah.
So we have we have the 2 sites in 15.
And Brooklyn High School for the Arts is open as well.
Right. Okay. So that concludes the high school report. And as always, we thank you for your time. We celebrate your advocacy, and I wish you all a really good summer. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that update for the end of our year. Do we have any questions or comments, Vincent? I see a hand up.
I just have unrelated question for Superintendent Scott about the L data that I asked for. I don't know if you have any update.
I haven't gotten the L data that you asked for as well yet, Vincent, but I will remind them that they owe it to me. Yes. But that's the best that we can do. But as to my knowledge, as I said, we have not closed any programs. And in fact, with the budget cuts, we've made sure that when we have the budget meetings, that they are cognizant that we must keep open the dual language programs.
Thank you. Yeah, let me know once you have an update.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent, maybe you can just give us a briefing on what you've been seeing in the district this year around ELL outside of the dual language programs. As our ELL rep, of course.
I don't have any update other than what we have discussed previously. But once I have more, I'll definitely share. Thank you.
And will you be able to participate in the ELL task force?
He's more than welcome to join the ELL task force. Tina Habib is on the task force, as are some other parents.
Yeah, please invite me.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right, let's move forward to item 16, budget reports.
So
Let
Camille,
Antonia take that over. Yeah.
yeah, I realize that it's 9:05 and we
Yeah.
did have a lengthy conversation about the budget. I had sent an email to everybody asking them to get in touch with their liaison schools and try and collect information about the impact of these budget cuts, and in hopes that they would report it back in this section of the meeting. I don't know how many of my other council members are able to report on that. I recognize that it's late. I have some information from 2 of my schools, and I will leave it to you all whether you want me to report on the responses that I've gotten.
I wonder if it would be useful to just create a shared Google Doc and we can write feedback that we got from the principals or PAs or PTAs in that, because I feel like we need some of this information kind of combined so that we are able to talk to it either at the PAP Thursday night or at the budget hearing on Friday. And maybe we can like sort of just use that as a place to collect information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then anybody who's on the call, if you have anecdotal stories that you can offer to us, please email them to cec15@schools.nyc.gov. What is there, does anybody have anything that they want to talk about regarding the budget?
Oh, Nancy says she can share too. I mean, do you want me to share some of the feedback? Okay, all right, so I got in touch with PS94 and the last time I checked Galaxy, they indicate a loss of 2 million. And I was told there wouldn't be money to buy supplies, that 94 had not sent a school supply list to parents for the past 3 years, but they have no choice this year but to ask their parents to send in supplies. There won't be money to fund paraprofessionals to support students with disabilities. There will be no money for any supplies that teachers may need. This will be impactful, particularly for social studies and science, as they have a lot of project-based learning. There will be no money for before or after school programs. PS94 has a lot of culturally responsive after school programs. There's no money for the Saturday Academy, which encompasses an ELA and math test taking strategies for students in grades 3 through 5, and an ENL program for multilingual learners in grades 2 through 5. There will be no trips. There will be no money for professional development. There will be no money for substitute teachers. There will be no money. They will not be purchasing books to update their libraries. And the school aid hours will be cut to 4 hours a day to only support lunch. There will be no support during arrival or dismissal. And she knows that she has 1,000 students coming in at 8 a.m. that must follow screening protocols, and 1,000 dismissing from 8 doors at 6 different grades. At PS 154, the Galaxy database indicated that there would be a loss of approximately 1 million. She hadn't had her budget meeting at the time that she wrote me. She anticipated larger class sizes, and they had hoped to be able to bring on a guidance counselor full time, but the budget cuts will make that unlikely. That's all the responses I got from my liaison schools. Nancy, do you want to add?
Sure. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So at PS 321, they are able to have enough PTA funding to not need to access any full-time teachers, but they will not be able to rehire any of their F status part-time staff. So they will be losing their 4-day-a-week guidance counselor. They will be losing their 2-day-a-week intervention teacher. They will be losing their 2-day-a-week music therapy teacher. And they will be losing their 3-day-a-week art and mindfulness teacher. And it's so, I mean, repeatedly it's been said that guidance and specialties are going to be the first thing to go, and here we see it. I can say at PS 58, there are 2 teachers who had already made the decision to leave, and there will need to be an additional 3 teachers accessed. So even though 3 teachers are being accessed, it's really a loss of 5 teachers because you would want to rehire those 2 that are leaving. And then at PS 321, at PS 32, PS32 will lose 6 sub-paras, and now PS32 is a school that has all of their classes are ICT classes, and they also have a NEST program, and they also have a G&T program. So they have a number of different programs, and they have a number of students that are in need of sub-paras who are basically linked to that student, and they will not be able to rehire these sub-paras. They expect arts will suffer in their class. And one of the big issues that they have had is that they actually did not receive the full funding that they were supposedly given. In other words, for example, they were told that they would be receiving, let's see, they were told that they would be receiving $256,000 to hire special ed teachers, but they only received $148,000. They were told that they would be receiving $384,000 of related services, but they only received $326,000. So it seemed like a little here, a little there, wasn't actually, the budget wasn't fulfilled to the extent that it was told that it would be fulfilled. And so they actually ended up receiving a significant amount less than they expected to receive, which is just confusing and mind-boggling that the DOE would operate in this way. And that's my report.
Thanks, Nancy. So does anybody else have anything to report?
I don't have that depth of information, but I did find out that PS24 is not at a deficit for this school year. I'm not sure why, but they were finalizing their allocations on Friday, just, the other day, and said they would update us with more accurate information and what any cuts might mean to them. And then for EHS, they are appealing their budget and requesting more funding. So they weren't sure what the impact was going to be at this point. I did not hear back from High School of the Arts or MS 447, but coincidentally are co-located. So that's all I have for now.
All right.
Anyone else?
For 447, I spoke to the principal. I know that she will be losing some teachers and support staff, particularly paras. I have not gotten a response yet. There are supposed to be losing math teachers, which is highly concerning. But I'll put it down on paper, especially before the CEC for that and for 176.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? All right, so I'll create a Google Doc that we can put all this into.
And I guess, is there anybody that is able to speak at the PEP meeting this week? I'm not going to be able to make it.
I'll be there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nancy.
I'll be there as well.
Hopefully a couple of others. Fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, so I guess that's the end of that budget line on our agenda, and we just have general public comments left. So we have another 15 minutes left of the meeting. If anybody is on the call, members of the public, if you'd like to ask a question, make a comment, feel free to raise your hand, and we probably should check the interpretation lines also to make sure if there's any questions there or public comments on the interpretation lines. Anybody on the Mandarin line?
No comments or questions from Mandarin line.
No question or comment from the Arabic line.
Thank you, Salwa. Thank you.
There's
And
no questions or
Spanish
comments
line?
from the Spanish line.
Thank you, Maritella. Okay. Anybody from the public have a question or comment that they would like to make? Superintendent Scott still here. Why don't we drop the link to the school liaison page in the chat? So if anybody's here that does not know who their school liaison is, they can see who that person would be, which is also on our website if you ever want to go there to find it as well. Who is the CEC rep for PS 169? Would the school liaison rep for 169 please unmute and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Smooth.
Camille, are you talking about PS 169?
Who are you, the CEC liaison for 169, Vincent?
Yes, I think I'm listed as the PS 169 liaison. Did someone ask for?
There's somebody in the chat, Johanna, asking.
Johanna, no.
Would you mind, maybe you should drop your email in the chat, or actually let's all do that. Let's all like write who our school liaison, who we're liaising with, and write our emails in the chat, please. Okay, Yvonne, you have your hand up. Did you want to say something?
If Anita is still on the call, I just wanted to see if she could give us a very brief, if there is anything with regards to diversity and inclusion district-wide for next year. Any ideas, anything that you guys are working on right now for next year? Any updates?
So we are working, that's part of what we are doing with our grant money, is bringing in these consultancies to work with schools. We have a lot of exciting things happening. We have, for example, we have schools signed up that are going to do a Reggio Emilia training over the summer and roll it out in the fall in kindergarten. We also have schools that are looking at school-wide enrichment with Renzulli. We are also providing training for some of our middle schools and adding advisory periods to those schools to support that. In addition, we of course have our regular Equity Congress and our Youth Congress, and we are very excited that our Youth Congress will probably be meeting in person again, so that's very exciting. And we are also, as I said, bringing in incredible leaders. For example, we are training our parent coordinators for additional parental outreach and engagement with Dr. Karen Mapp out of Harvard, and with Consuelo Kickbush, who is a leader in reaching out to communities. So we have those two. We are working with a lady called Jamila Sams, who does advisories at the middle school level, and she will be working with MS51 as well as MS88 and several other schools. We are excited to provide opportunities. We are providing libraries to schools in terms of books, plus we are also providing principals with training at principals meetings. So there's a lot going on. Thank you for asking, Ivan. I wasn't clear enough in saying that when I spoke to that slide.
Thank you. Thank you for the information. It's great news. So we can start ready the next school year.
Mirabelle, do you still have a question? Perhaps not. Are there any other questions or comments for our last CEC meeting of the school year?
I guess I will just comment that it's such a pleasure to work with all of you, and I appreciate you, and I hope everybody has an incredible summer. And as Joanna's saying in the chat, I love you guys. Thanks for all you do. I feel exactly the same way. Thank you. Okay, so at 9:23, I would like to make a motion to adjourn with lots of hearts and thanks in the chat. Thank you all.
Second.
All right, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and we are here for you. Just write anytime, day or night, as you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. Good